This video is going to walk you through our multi-million-dollar end-to-end LinkedIn lead generation process. I'm going to show you how LinkedIn has changed, how the software and the algorithm has changed, and why most people aren't seeing success on the platform anymore. How to identify the most qualified leads on LinkedIn so you're not wasting the precious invites and messages you have on people that you shouldn't be messaging in the first place. The only LinkedIn sending software that we recommend using that has never put one of our accounts in jeopardy and has generated millions of dollars in sales for our company. And finally, how to set up that software, including the exact messaging template and scripts that you should be using in order to have your LinkedIn lead generation campaigns have the highest chance of success. For some quick context of who you're listening to, I'm not some YouTube guru that's copying other people's work and saying it's my own. Instead, I run a company called Scaling with Systems, who in the past few years has generated over $100 million online in sales for our over 2,000 clients. One of the main ways that we do that is through LinkedIn messaging and outbound campaigns. I have already made quite a bit of videos online around cold email messaging, and LinkedIn messaging, but this is going to be my most up-to-date video because there are some radical changes happening on the platform and even some new stuff that we've tested that's been successful I want to share with you here. So what I have right in front of me is a graphic that illustrates an outbound funnel, and this graphic shows there's 4 main steps to an outbound funnel, at least that we've identified and that we focus on. First, you have your audience, then you have your messaging, then you have the discovery call, then you have the demonstration call. This video is going to specifically focus on the audience and the messaging. However, even with the best audience and messaging, if you don't have your sales process down correctly, you're obviously not going to convert that many sales. Now, the area to pay attention to in this graphic here is the audience, because this is the first step in the entire process, and as such, it's the most impactful. If you get the wrong audience and you start there, then everything else you do, your messaging is going to not be resonating, your discovery calls, you're not going to get a lot of them, and if you do get on the phone with them, they're going to be unqualified, and you're probably not going to actually close anybody on a demonstration call. And by getting the audience wrong, you're going to think that, oh, it's a messaging problem, it's a sales problem, it's an offer problem, when in reality, you should have taken more time in the beginning to identify the audience. The second piece of this is that LinkedIn has changed its rules. Before, you could send hundreds of messages a day, no problem at all, and you could message as many people as you wanted to. But now LinkedIn has come out with rules to where you can literally send less than 100 a week. So we want to make sure every single one of these counts. And the way that we make them count is not by sending personal Loom videos to every single one of them and figuring out, where they went to high school. It's by making sure that the people that we are sending the message to have the highest likelihood of responding and of being our clients, which starts once again in this audience section here. So what's the easiest way on LinkedIn to make sure that you're getting the right audience? Well, it's going to be through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, I have another video. It's actually my #1 video on YouTube that goes more in depth on LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Boolean searches, but I'm going to cover it here as well, just so that this video is the only video that you need. If you go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can sign up for their free trial. I think it's a 30-day free trial, and after that, I believe it's $79 a month. I promise you that if you put all of this in place and you implement and then collect feedback and adjust, this will make you way more than $79 a month. So it's definitely worth it, especially if you can only be messaging to the most qualified people, because that's going to give you the highest likelihood of success for this campaign. So once we're inside of Sales Navigator, what you're going to want to do is go to lead filters, okay? And this is going to be where we're creating a lead list that we're going to use to import into the software for our message sending. I'm going to very quickly walk through a few of the most important ways that you can filter through all of the leads on LinkedIn. So if I just gave you an example here and I said North America as the geography, if we looked on LinkedIn, there is probably over 242 million different results. And this is where most people start. They literally start with just the largest list possible. But what we want to do is get more specific at as many places as we can. And a few of the ways that we like to get more specific is, number 1, the company headcount. Because, for example, if I'm selling something, that person, what I'm selling to, their pain points, what their buying power is, et cetera, is going to be very different if they're self-employed, if they have 1 to 10 employees, if they have 1150 to employees, if they have 500 to 1,000 employees. Not all of these are treated the same. you shouldn't treat all of these as the same. For example, in my experience, we like to go after people that have 1 to 10 employees or contractors, and maybe also 11 to 50 employees and contractors. If you have that many employees, it means that you're probably not a freelancer just starting out, but also you're not so large that it's difficult to speak with you because you have to go through 6 or 7 layers of red tape. Then once you scroll down here, you can look at current companies, past companies, the types of companies they have. For example, if you work specifically with nonprofits, I could make it so that I only targeted nonprofits inside of here. You could also say what their current job title is, their past job title, their function level, et cetera, et cetera. On the role side over here, what we found that works the most important is the current job title. And I'll almost always do CEO right here, and I'm going to click include. And so now what we've done is we have said, hey, I want 1 to 50 employees in this company, and I want the CEO of this company. So far we went from 242 million to 720,000. So we're narrowing things down here pretty well. Then you could even come inside of here and say, hey, I only want people that have been working or building their current business, not the entrepreneur that hops to 50 different businesses in 3 years, but they've been working in their current business for at least 3 to 5 years. So we'll say 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, and more than 10 years. So this lets us know that they probably have some good systems in place. They've been around the block a few times, and I'm not going to be talking to some jamoke here. So now we're down from 780,000 to 290,000, but we're not done yet, right? So if we go back over here to our filters, we can also say that we want the geography. Maybe instead of just North America, I could say the United States or Canada. Specifically, in my experience, North America, it works best because we can treat them the same. And then in the connection requests, very specific here for the software we're using, we only want 2nd degree connections and 3rd degree connections. So 1st degree connections are people that you're already connected to, and we don't want to be sending them a message. I have another YouTube video where I go more in depth about sending 1st degree connections, but for this software and this campaign to work, you want to have a virtually unlimited list of qualified leads, and so you don't want to be filtered by, I'm already connected to these people. So we're specifically going after 2nd degree and 3rd degree connections. The geography we're going to leave the same just for right now. The industry is going to be whatever your industry you're servicing. So here's where you can get even more narrow because, for example, unless you're, I don't know, maybe like a personal trainer that's servicing CEOs, you're probably going to have a specific industry that you serve. For example, quite a bit of our clients are in the coaching, consulting, or advertising industry. So I'm going to choose advertising industries here. And if I look over on the right-hand side, we'll let this load. We're down to 17,000 results. So remember, we started at 142 million, and now we're down to 17,000, okay? And then you can scroll down here, and the final thing I want to show you is the people you've interacted with. You want to exclude people you've viewed the profile, and you want to exclude people that you've messaged. And this will come into more awareness later on when we get to the part of uploading this to the software. But long story short, you don't want to have the software send the same messages to the same people that you've already messaged in the past, okay? So after all this 17,000 people here that we can send messages to, for me personally, I would probably narrow it down a little bit more than this. This is still a little bit large. So you could narrow down by geography, like you could say, certain cities in the United States if you wanted to. I could also come down here and add additional job titles or years in current position as a CEO. But this is at least a really, really great place to start because we went from literally hundreds of millions to less than 17,000 people. And just by doing this, we're already much more qualified than we were 5 minutes ago. At this point, what you want to do is come down here to this button that says Save Search. We're going to click on that, and you want to name this so that it's easy to find later on. So I'm going to call this CEOs. Then I'm going to say North America, and then I'm going to call it 1 to 50 employees, and I'll say advertising industry, right? So this is a really easy way, and this is important that you pay attention to your naming conventions or it'll get really confusing later. Then I can easily find this and say, okay, this is exactly who I'm targeting. And so another example could be later on, I could come in and do 50 plus employees and know that it's different from this one. So we're going to click Save, and now we're going to move on to step 3, which is to sign up for our LinkedIn sending software. Now, I personally have used over 24 LinkedIn sending softwares out there. We've tried quite a bit, and I can tell you that some have gotten us in trouble. Some of them didn't really work that well. Some of them broke. Others of them didn't have the features that we want. in my personal experience, Dripify is the best one out there. Now, they're not sponsoring this video or anything like that, but I just appreciate a good tool when I see one. So you can sign up for Dripify, and then once you sign up for Dripify, you're going to want to set up your account to be ready for us to start sending our campaigns. Now, two quick things to know while you're setting up your campaign here. The first is that there is always a chance, if you're using a third-party software, that LinkedIn can catch on and they can put your account in jail. So if you are like, I don't want any chance of that happening, if you're the kind of person that walks outside in a bubble suit because you don't want anything to happen to you, then this is probably not going to be for you. I will say, in my experience, for all of my accounts, for my team members' accounts, and for my clients' accounts, we've never had somebody go to LinkedIn jail for using the software, but it is a risk. And the second thing is that when you sign up for Dripify, you'll get a 7-day free trial. But once the free trial ends, we very highly recommend getting their highest plan, this advanced one here, which is $79 a month builds annually, or it's $99 a month builds monthly, because of what is called activity control and also the team management. Activity control I'm going to cover in a moment, but it's essentially Dripify's ability to make your LinkedIn message sending and profile viewing and all that stuff more look like a real person, and it throttles it up and down, and it kind of takes over everything automatically using an algorithm, versus like you having to constantly change how many messages are being sent a day, how many profiles are being viewed a day. And when you get into that kind of game, you can maybe get your account in trouble. So when I say that we've never had any accounts in trouble, it's because we always get the highest plan possible. And the second thing is the ability for team management. And team management's nice because once you get your first Dripify campaign up and running and it's working, what you want to do is you're going to want to add multiple LinkedIn accounts inside of here so that you can run 3, 5, 10, 15 times. Let's say you're getting one account and one LinkedIn profile, one Dripify account is getting you 20 booked appointments a week. Well, how great would it be if you could get 5 accounts and it's getting you around 100 booked appointments a week? So that's the other reason why we like the advanced one. And I'd really consider when the 7-day trial is up that you get this one. That being said, let's set up our account for success. So on the left-hand side here, you have the dashboard, which is obviously going to be like your 30,000 foot view. You have campaigns, which we're going to set up here in a moment, which shows this is like your actual lead generation campaigns. Then you have your inbox, which is people that are responding back to the messages that you're sending. You have the leads, which is the campaigns when you set them up. We're talking about a little bit. These are the ones that you're importing from LinkedIn. These are the team members that we talked about before if you wanted to add additional team members. And then there's settings. Now, underneath settings, what I'd recommend doing is coming over to limits and activity control and either toggling on this activity control so it's automatically done, or B, you're going to want to manually do the activity control here. If I were to toggle it off, I would have to kind of play around with these numbers a little bit to see which ones were the most successful or which ones like kept me out of LinkedIn jail. But the problem with that is that it's not going to be increasing automatically over time. So that's why I don't like to do it. So I'm going to put it back down to 5. And we're just going to turn on activity control, which is also nice because you get it in the free trial. The second thing you're going to look at is the working hours. So we personally like to make sure that you're only sending messages during business hours. If you're sending messages at 2 or 3 a.m. every single day, it might kind of look like a bot a little bit. And then you want to set up a sequence template. So this is where we're actually going to start setting up the campaign in order for us to start sending the messages to generate leads, to generate calls, and generate sales. So now let's get started setting up a template. So I'm going to click add a template here. We'll name it whatever we want to do. We're just going to call it LinkedIn messaging for now. And then down here, you have the ability to add actions inside the sequence. So an action is send an invite by email, message them, send them an email message, view the profile, endorse the skills, follow, like a post. And then you also have conditions, meaning that if they connect, do this. If they have an email, do this. If it's a profile that's open on LinkedIn, then do this. So we kind of create this almost branch tree of decision making and also branch tree of engagements that allows us to kind of fly underneath LinkedIn's radar by doing things that a regular human being would. So for example, before we go inside of here, a regular human being, if they wanted to send a connection message on LinkedIn, might find the person's profile and they look at the profile. Then a day later, they come back and look at the profile again. Then they send them a connection message. If they respond back to the connection message, then they might go into their profile and look at a few of their posts. They might endorse them on a skill. They might like a post that they have. So these are all kind of like human being activities that makes it very difficult for LinkedIn to be able to tell that this is a fake person. A lot of the other software out there will just have connect somebody, send them a message. And if you're doing that 100 times a day, it kind of looks like it's a bot, right? Or you're abusing LinkedIn by spamming a bunch of people, when this way is a little bit more like the organic way that LinkedIn likes to do it. Now, I will say that there is a right and a wrong way to set this up, but just lucky for you, because you're a Ravi Abuvala channel subscriber, I hope you are, we actually already have this entire LinkedIn flow built out here. So I'm not going to go through this entire thing in this video because it's going to take us 20 minutes to set it up, but I do want to show you that you can actually make it, like I said before, so that it views the profile, waits a day, views a profile, waits an hour, sends a connection message, sets up a branch tree where if it's accepted, do this, if it's not accepted, do that, and then we'll actually start setting the messages, right? And at the very end of this branch tree, what we want to do is we want to remove our withdrawal request if somebody does not accept our connection. Because another place that people get in hot water with LinkedIn is you pile up too many connection requests. And if you have, let's say, 350 connection requests and people aren't accepting them, and you keep on adding more, that's another signal to LinkedIn that you're likely going to be some kind of bot or software. So let me just show you the basics in this video here. So let's go back to Dripify. We're going to come back to what our top of our sequence here says, which I believe was view a profile. So the first thing we're going to do is view a profile, wait a day, and then view a profile, wait an hour. So add an action, then view profile, wait a day, then add an action, view profile, then wait an hour. You can move from days to hours, right? And then what we want to do is send a connection message. So let's go down here. We can say send an invite, which is essentially the connection message for LinkedIn. And then if you click on send an invite, now you have the ability to personalize the message to the person. So this is what they're going to receive when you're sending them connection message. We keep it super simple. We might say something like, hey, first name, loved your profile, looking to connect, thanks. I mean, literally as simple as that. For your personalization notes, for your message that you're sending for the connection requests, we are typically looking for a 20 to 25% acceptance rate on your connection request. I'm going to show you how to track that later. A mistake that a lot of people do that I notice is they put their entire sales pitch and life story inside the connection request. You got to think, this person's probably on the toilet, on their LinkedIn, they see they got a connection request, and if it's a disarming message that says something like that, then they're just going to connect, right? Remember, we're only sending messages to people that we know are qualified based on our LinkedIn Sales Navigator search. If you make it so that it's like this long message that's like 3 or 4 paragraphs long and you're adding all this personalization inside of there, in my opinion, I think it's way too confusing. So I'm going to keep this as our invite message right here. And then you have kind of 2 branches. So if they accept, do these things here. And if they don't accept, do these things here. Now, I'm going to keep, for the sake of this tutorial, very simple. I'm going to have, if they accept, we're going to wait a day and we're going to send a message to them. So we're going to say message, and I'm going to go through the message here in just one moment. And then on the left-hand side, if we send an invite and they don't accept, then what I'm actually going to do is end this sequence right here, and I'm going to withdraw the request. Okay, remember, that's what I was talking about earlier. Make sure you withdraw the request, because if you don't do that, then it's going to really stack on a lot of your requests and get you in LinkedIn trouble. Okay, now personally, this is probably not something that I would do if I was building an actual campaign. For the sake of this video here, I'm not going to go into building a full one because that could take 15-20 minutes, but I would probably add in what I talk about inside of here, which is viewing profiles and, following them and sending connection messages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they've accepted. We're going to wait one day, and this is where we send our initial message. Now, wait, Ravi, what do I say in this message? Well, guess what? That's why you're a subscriber to this channel, because Ravi Abuvala's got you covered. Now, I have a few videos where I go more in depth on my $10 million plus cold email template, but this is exactly what we're going to use. You can see there's literally a few people on here right now, but this is going to be what we're going to copy and paste inside of here. So let me take this body of this message, and I'm going to copy it. We're going to go back over to Dripify. We're going to paste it, and then I'm going to kind of just create this one by one, a messaging here. So a personalization introduction. So, hey, first name, saw that you're in location, always wanted to go there, period. Then you go into the transformation. So let's just say something like, I help accounting firms sign 10 new clients without any ad spend in 90 days or less. Then we get into risk reversal. The best part, if you don't sign 10 clients, we'll give you all of your money back. Social proof. We've worked with 100 plus accounting firms, including, let's just say, KPMG and Ravi's Accounting Co., right? Because that's a famous accounting company that everybody knows, right? Then call to action, I would say something like, if you're interested in learning more, respond back with your best phone number or book a time here. Boom. Okay. And then I would just erase the rest of this because this is fine. This is just LinkedIn. And I would put the link to my calendar link right here. So there you go. I just gave you a multi-million-dollar cold email message. And this template here kind of breaks it down a little bit more in depth. Now, I just did this in about 30 seconds. So if you wanted to spend a little bit more time on it, I would recommend probably doing that. And then we'll click on save. Okay. And so then you can wait a day. And then maybe what we want to do now is view their profile for after the first day if they haven't responded back. And then maybe we'll do one more thing here, which is like follow them after the day. And then at that point, we're going to end the sequence and you don't have to accept the withdrawal connection because remember, they already accepted this point. So now we have, let me zoom out real quick. So now we have our full messaging template here. So our messaging template, kind of our sequence is view the profile, wait a day, view the profile again, wait an hour, send the connection request, wait a day. If they haven't accepted, remove the connection message. If they have accepted, send them a message and then kind of remind them that we sent them a message by viewing their profile and following them. Okay, very, very simple, easy to use template that we set up here. So I'm going to click on save this template now. And just like that, we have now set up our Dripify account for sending. So now let's get into the actual campaign and let's launch our first campaign. So on the left-hand side, you're going to go over to campaigns. We're going to click on add a campaign. Then we want to add a list of leads. So we're going to give the list of leads a name. And remember, this is where we're pulling in the lead list that we already created earlier from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So let me just copy this here. I'm going to come back over here and paste this naming convention. Remember, that's why we have naming conventions. And then we're going to take the URL from LinkedIn Sales Navigator and we're going to paste it inside of here. And then it's kind of finding it. So just give it one moment. And then once you click submit, you're going to get your list of leads. So now it is starting to work and pull the leads of the list that we created already. Now, an important note here is that this is why inside of here, we're excluding people that we've messaged review their profile, because I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but one way you can refresh a campaign is coming inside of here and using the same URL again, but this time it's going to be less people because you've already viewed and message those people. So let's click on next. Then you can create a sequence from scratch if you want to, but remember, we've already created one. So we're going to click on save templates and LinkedIn messaging, click select template. This is the template that we already created. So this looks fine. I'll click on next here. And then we're going to give this a name. So let's just call this LinkedIn messaging, or we'll call it, actually, I'm going to call it the name of the lead list. So we'll call it CEO 1 to 50 employees, North America advertising. Right? And another very important thing here is you want to make sure that you do not add a lead to the campaign if the lead has the same lead as another campaign. So if you're doing multiple campaigns at the same time, you want to make sure that they're not kind of, you're not sending multiple messages from multiple different campaigns. So make sure that you click that. And then if you wanted to, for example, they don't have a leads profile photo, or you don't have, they don't have 500 connections. Like, these are ways that you can filter even more. If we talked about the outbound funnel, the audience. Okay. So it's important that you think of maybe selecting one or two of those. A lot of times we don't do any of them because I've done such a good job on the LinkedIn Sales Navigator getting the most qualified people. And then the final thing is a webhook integration. If you wanted to, it's going to be out of the scope of this video, but you can make it so that when someone has responded to a message that you've sent, you can send a webhook to go to your Slack channel, your CRM, and let you know that somebody's done it, right? So then finally, we're going to click save and launch. And just like that, it says, high five, your campaign is launched and being populated with leads. So as you can see here, the campaign's rocking and rolling and we're good to go. And it says total leads are uploading. This usually takes a few hours to get all the leads inside of here, at which point it'll start sending based on the times and conditions that we created inside of the sequence. And the final thing you should keep an eye on is this inbox tab over here. This is where you or your appointment setters or your team should spend the majority of their time, because as people respond back to the Dripify messages, they're going to appear inside of here. And don't expect people just to be, oh yeah, let me book a time and work with you right away. You might have to do 2 or 3 messages back and forth and get them on a booked call, at which point you'd close the deal, which is, if we go back to the funnel where I talk about here, people respond back to your messaging. Don't be afraid to outbound dial them, message them back, send them an email to convince them to get on a discovery call. Those that are sitting there waiting for people just to jump on into your lap and say, oh, here's my credit card, are going to be waiting for a really long time. time. So set yourself up with success by focusing on the audience, the messaging, and then make sure you're getting the most out of the work that you've done by outbound dialing, responding back to the messages, and even emailing the people that have responded but haven't booked a call yet. Obviously, my team and I put a lot of time and energy getting you guys videos like these. So if you enjoy this, please be sure to like, comment down below, and maybe share this with somebody who is also trying to set up an outbound campaign so they can do it successfully.